Well, when my next guest wasn't fighting fires for 20+ years, he was cracking jokes in a Queens firehouse. And after retiring from the FDNY, he hit the comedy club circuit. And tomorrow night, Billy Bingo will be performing, along with several other comedians, at a benefit show in Queens. You're the first person here on our show ever named Bingo. Billy Bingo, welcome to the show. Bingo is...
Nice to meet you, John.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in. Billy Bingo...
It's my pleasure.
...is not your real name.
No, it's not my real name. My real name is Bill Dennis, and I've been a New York City fireman for over 20 years.
And tomorrow night's show is not amateur night. There are some pretty big names that'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, we got, we have 6 amateur New York City firefighters that are doing stand-up comedy at the Colden Center in Queens College, located on the Long Island Expressway, right off of Main Street. Yep. And we got 6 funny New York City firemen, comedian and headliner John DeResta, who had his own television sitcom, DeResta. He's in Miss Congeniality, and he's a star in 15 Minutes. He's coming in from LA, and he's headlining the show, co-headlining with Joey Cola, who warmed up the Rosie O'Donnell audience for the past 10 years, and he's been on Comedy Central, Premium Blend, Long Island Homegrown. And Brian Kilmeade from the morning show Fox and Friends is going to host the show. And we're going to raise a lot of money for a really good cause. So
we'll get to that good cause in just a moment, but I'm curious to know how the 6 funniest firefighters were chosen. I'm sure that's a title that many firefighters across the city think they should own.
Well, in the kitchen, every fireman is a comic. But what goes on in the kitchen at the firehouse stays at the kitchen in the firehouse.
So give us an example of what we would expect tomorrow night. Will there be firehouse jokes or fire-themed jokes during the course of the night?
Oh, definitely. Most of the firemen all talk about, like myself, we talk about our career, we talk about our home life, stuff that the people in the audience can relate to. Before I start a show, I usually like to start off with a little fire safety tips. If you wouldn't mind, in New York City, we have these things, they're tot finders. And what people do is you put this in the window, that lets you know there's a little kid in the room, and then the firemen know to look for little kids. Now, I moved to Long Island, and I found out that they have them for your pet. And I was like, for your pet? What a really good idea. And ever since my family's expanded and my mother-in-law moved in, I had a special one made up for my mother-in-law's bedroom.
That's right. And
then being a fireman and knowing the way firemen think, this is what sits in my bedroom window.
I see. That would be Billy Bingo's room.
That would be my room. Well, that would get the firemen in to come get me.
They might not leave, Mr. Bingo.
No, I know.
Okay. We'll get to the when and the where tomorrow night. You mentioned it's in Queens. We'll get to the details in just a minute, but let's get serious for just a second. Proceeds benefit the Thomas L. Sasser Fund. Right. This is a fund that's been around for a couple of years. Tell us about it.
The fund started in 1990. Tommy was a good friend of mine. I met Tommy before I became a fireman through a mutual friend in his firehouse. And every year he ran a one-pitch softball tournament that benefited the widows and orphans. And when Tommy passed away in 1990, his fire company, Ladder 104, continued the tradition of running this tournament. And then they put this scholarship together in Tommy's name. And what it does, it benefits the widows and children of firefighters who died non-line of duty. If a fireman dies in a fire or while he's working, the city's going to take care of his family, and his wife will get a pension. But if you're a New York City fireman and you just die, an example would be like we had this fireman, John Halverson, who was jogging on the track in Center Ridge High School in 1997, and a deranged teenager walked up to him and shot him in the chest and killed him. John's wife was pregnant with twins at the time. This fund will make sure that girls like John's little kids and other kids from firemen that die non-line of duty will get an education. And that was a real important thing to Tommy, and it's a real near and dear to everybody in the fire department.
When was it okay, and I know that you were retired before 9/11, but when was it okay, I'm sure you're still friends with firefighters.
Oh, sure.
When was it okay to crack a joke around a firefighter after 9/11?
After 9/11 was really tough. I had lost a lot of friends, and a friend of mine had asked me to go to Florida with him, and I was like in the middle of October, and I was still going to funerals, and I had a really bad day, and I came home and I told my wife, I said, look, I'm getting out of here, I'm going to Florida. And I had gone to Florida for 4 days, I wound up staying for 12, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine. His wife called me up and she said, Billy, come meet us tonight. We're going to go to a comedy club in Fort Myers. And I told him, Maddie, I'd like to go, but I'm a little busy. I said, I'll see you tomorrow. And I hung up with her. And then I said, I should get back and move on with my life. I called the comedy club. And I spoke with the owner. I told him who I was and what I did. And I told him my friends were coming there tonight, and I'd like to surprise them and do a guest set. And he said, come on down. And that was the first time I had gone on stage since 9/11. I couldn't even tell you the date. That whole time period is a big warp.
Did comedy help get you through the process?
Yeah, it did, because it gives me a way to vent, and you get your frustrations and angers out.
And you opened in Florida. Was it unrelated to this trip? But you opened in Florida at the 9/11 Comic
Relief Fund. Yeah,
Tell
that
us
was
about
that was a fundraiser for the My Firefighters, Widows, and Children's Fund. Lieutenant Tom McCabe started this fund about 2 years ago, and that also benefits the widows and orphans of New York City firefighters. And on the show was Colin Quinn, John DeResta, who's doing our show, Eddie Brill from the David Letterman, Victoria Jackson, Terry Crowley, and Bobby Collins was the headliner. We raised over $30,000 that night. And if things go well tomorrow, we'll raise $50,000. But we have to sell out. We need the people to come out and support us.
Well, let's talk about where they need to go and when, and we do have some information to provide to our viewers. You mentioned it was tomorrow night. It starts at 8 o'clock. So we'll be competing against each other tomorrow night, Mr. Bingo.
That's okay. They can tape your show and watch it after the comedy show.
And it is mentioned, as mentioned, the Colden Center for Performing Arts, which is at Queens College.
It's at Queens College.
You can see the graphic on your screen. There's a phone number at the box office at Colden Center, and the number's on the bottom of your screen: 718-793-8080. And let's leave that up for a minute so our viewers can grab a pen real quick. Tickets cost $30.
$30, and it's theater seating, so the earlier you get your tickets, the better seats you're going to have. And it's going to be a really fun night. You're going to go home, you're going to be happy, and you're going to support a good cause. How can you lose?
And after this performance, what's next for you, sir?
Oh, next for me, I'm going out to LA in November. I'm going to do a show at the Improv. I'm going to go to the Riviera in Palm Springs. But right now, after this fundraiser, I think I'm going to take about a 3-day nap. This really has me stuck.
We have 30 seconds left. Billy Bingo, can you give us one last joke without any scantily clad women?
Quick one. In New York City, we have cell phones. If you drive your car, you need a hands-free device. Come to the fundraiser, and I'll give you a free hands-free device. This will get you out of a ticket. Thank
Billy
you, John.
Bingo,
Have a great
thank
night.
you so much. Charting new ground here on New York Tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you very much.
At 8:52, we take a break. We're talking about fundraisers. When we come back, the story of 4 sisters from Virginia.